We are following two major stories for you this hour. Searchers say it is the most promising lead yet in efforts to find Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. The plane went missing almost a month ago. But first to South Africa, where Blade Runner Oscar Pistorius is taking the stand in his own defense. Court is due to resume at any moment now. More than a month into the trial, the court has now heard from the accused himself. The athlete began his testimony with a direct message for victim Reva Steenkamp's family. Take a listen.
I can't imagine the pain and the sorrow and the emptiness that I've caused you and your family. I was simply trying to protect Reva.
We will, of course, continue to monitor the courtroom in Pretoria and take you back there when testimony resumes. But we want to get more on that testimony from Oscar Pistorius. CNN legal analyst Kelly Phelps joins us now live from Pretoria. There was emotional testimony there from Oscar Pistorius at the very beginning of his appearance in court today. And then, of course, the lawyers went on to talk about his entire story, his life story. What do you believe has been the strategy for that?
Well, hearing about his life story and his background is incredibly important for establishing a foundation for the defense that he will eventually walk us through in his testimony.
The Oscar Pistorius murder trial there in Pretoria has now been adjourned for the day at the request of his defense lawyer, Barry Rue, who had suggested that his client, Oscar Pistorius, is exhausted, especially with all that has been going on, and has been displaying signs of exhaustion. In fact, when he asked Mr. Pistorius just a few minutes ago about whether he was tired, he said he did not sleep last night. He said, a lot of things are going through my mind, and the weight of this is overbearing. Throughout this afternoon session of Oscar Pistorius' testimony, we heard his defense lawyer ask him a range of questions, from his use of alcohol and drugs, to which he says he does drink when he's with family and friends, but not, he says, not during the time when he's training, which is through January to September. When it came to the question about drugs, he says the last time he did drugs was when he was 15, when he smoked marijuana. That was after his mother had passed away. He also talked about exposure to crime, and when his defense lawyer asked him about what kind of exposure he had had to crime, Mr. Pistorius said that living in South Africa, everyone is exposed to crime. He's had house breakings at his father's house and even at his mother's house when he was living there. He's had hijackings. His family members have had hijackings, carjackings as well. He said in 2005 his own home was broken into when he was away, and also he has been followed home late at night in his car, and he's even been shot at while he was driving on the highway. He talked about a lot of other things, including moving to a new development and the crime that was exposed there, also moving to Johannesburg after that to be near Reva Steenkamp. He was also asked about religion and faith, and he actually said, and this was interesting, that the faith was important to him, but he said meeting Reva was a Steenkamp. She was a strong Christian and who would pray for him at night. So quite a variety of questions that Oscar Pistorius was asked on his day on the witness stand, giving his testimony of his own murder trial there. He is accused of murdering his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp, and the testimony continues tomorrow. Of course, we will continue to carry that when it does happen again tomorrow. For now, let's take a short break. We'll be right back here on Newsstream. Welcome back to Newsstream, everyone. Hello, I'm Monita Rajpal. Let's turn our attention right now to the search for missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. There has been some detection of more audio signals in the Indian Ocean. The Australian ship Ocean Shield picked up two separate signals in the search area west of Australia. Now, if the signals are pinpointed, an underwater vessel is to search for any debris. They were located in the north of the search area. That's about 500 kilometers kilometers from where a Chinese ship also detected audio signals. But it could take days before officials are able to confirm if the signals came from the plane's voice recorders. Now, Aaron McLaughlin joins us now. We do not have Aaron McLaughlin, but let's take you more on some of the other stories that we are following today. And of course, the other story that we were following just earlier on, which was a dramatic day of testimony in South Africa. Oscar Pistorius has finally taken the stand in his own defense. We've updated you on the new leads in the search for Flight 370 that we were just talking about. But now let's turn to our other top story, and that's in India, where polls have closed in the northeast states of Assam and Tripura. The voting marks the start of the country's marathon-style 5-week-long general election that will decide a new parliament and new prime minister. It also happens to be the largest election the world has ever seen. 15,000 candidates from 500 political parties are vying for seats in India's lower house of parliament, and the voting pool exceeds the combined populations of the U.S. and Western Europe. Let's get you more now on the Oscar Pistorius murder trial and the testimony that we heard there of the Olympic and Paralympic athletes. CNN legal analyst Kelly Phelps joins us now live from Pretoria. And Kelly, so we've quite an extensive testimony there that we heard from Oscar Pistorius. Quite a range of questions he was asked, everything from alcohol and drug abuse to religion. Give us an idea of what kind of a picture his defense lawyer Barry Rue is trying to paint here.
Well, essentially, they're trying to provide a counterbalance to the picture that the state was trying to paint in their version of it.
Kelly, thank you very much. Kelly Phelps there, CNN legal analyst there, live for us from outside the courthouse in Pretoria. And we'll be right back. Stay with us. Officials say they have the most promising lead yet in the hunt for Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. A U.S. pinger locator connected to an Australian vessel has detected 2 separate audio signals in the southern Indian Ocean. Officials say they are consistent with sounds emitted by a plane's flight data and voice cockpit recorders, traditionally known as black boxes. Well, Aaron McLaughlin has more now on the search efforts.
A month into the search for Flight 370, officials announced what they describe as an encouraging lead.
Aaron McLaughlin reporting there. Now, in the coverage of this missing plane, you may have heard mention of a towed pinger locator and hydrophones. Stephanie Elam shows us the technology that makes this underwater search possible.
The idea of searching the ocean floor is a huge undertaking, so we want to show you the difference between a couple of technologies that are likely being used in the Indian Ocean.
The murder trial of Oscar Pistorius adjourned early this Monday after South African athlete began testifying in his own defense. Pistorius is accused of having murdered his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp at his home in Pretoria on Valentine's Day last year. He doesn't deny killing Steenkamp, but says he mistook her for an intruder. On the stand, he addressed the victim's family directly and apologized. Pistorius says he now takes antidepressants and sleep aids. His lawyer asked for the early adjournment, saying Pistorius was exhausted. That is News Stream for this Monday, but the news continues here at CNN. I'm Monita Rajpal. World Business Today is next.